Our first question goes over the first two that were on the summative, where you had the t-shirts and you had the marbles. You had to write fractions and decimals, talking about how many there were. So the first question says, what fractions of the shapes are triangles? So we're trying to put things in a fraction. A quick reminder. When you're setting up a fraction, the top number is the part, whatever it is you're looking for, and the bottom number is the whole or the total. In this instance, the part that we're looking at is we're looking at the triangles, and the whole or the total is how many shapes there are. So here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 shapes. So out of those 12 shapes, how many are triangles? 3. 3 out of those 12 are triangles. I have this reminder over here that we need to simplify if we can. We need to simplify if we can. So we need to think, is there a number that divides into 3 and 12? Is there a number that divides into 3 and 12 evenly? I can divide 3 and 12 by 3. One way that I know that is if I have 3 dots, that makes one whole perfect group. But then if I have 12 dots, I can make groups of 3. Here's a group 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 of 3. So if you find out what groups evenly cut up both numbers, that's a number you can divide by. So 3 divided by 3 means that there's one group. And then 12 into groups of 3 means there's 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. So this fraction simplifies to 1/4. For our major summative, you're going to have to know how to simplify. You won't get full points if you do not simplify on the major summative. Try this next one on your own. We're looking for the shapes that are not circles. Looking for the shapes that are not circles. Go ahead, pause the video. Try this one on your own. Simplify if you can. For this one, you should get 7/12. We actually can't simplify this one. There's no number that goes evenly into 7 and 12. Another way, if you don't like the dots, to see what numbers go into both, I can make a T-chart for 7. 1 times 7 gives me 7. And that's it. If I look at the number 12, 1 times 12 gives me 12. 2 times 6. 3 times 4. The only multiples they have in common are 1. So that means I can't simplify it anymore. The next two, we're looking for decimals. Make sure you read carefully if they're looking for a fraction or a decimal. We had a few people get this wrong because they gave us fraction answers. Fractions are going to help us, though, turn these into decimals. So the first question is, what decimal of the shapes are square? We need to start off with a fraction. So looking at my shapes, setting up my fraction, my part, and my whole. How many are squares? What's my part that are squares? 4 of them are squares out of how many total shapes? Still 12. Now we need to take this fraction and turn it into a decimal. How do we do that? Divide, yes. We need to divide. So I'm going to divide using the box method because that's what most of my students prefer. Does the 4 go outside or inside my box? The 4 goes inside and the 12 goes outside. So now we divide. Does 12 go into 4? So what number do we show mathematically with that? A 0, because 12 does not go into 4. Then I do 0 times 12. I get 0. Subtract. We get 4. Are we done dividing? We had a remainder. We've got something left over. So that means we have to add more boxes. Whenever we have to add more boxes, we always have to make sure that we're putting in zeros on the right of our box. So that way, when we carry over, we're subtracting from 40 now instead of just 4, because just 4, it's not going to change. Along with adding those boxes and the zeros, we have to add in a decimal to help us hold that place value. So now we're trying to see how many times does 12 go into 40. A lot of us don't know the 12s off the top of our head, and that's okay. So let's write them out. 1 times 12 is 12. 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 12 is 36. 4 times 12 is 48. When you're multiplying by 12s, remember multiplication is just repeated addition. So every time I just add 12 more. 12 plus 12 gives me 24. 24 plus 12 gives me 36. 36 plus 12 gives me 48. 48 plus 12 would give me 60. So that means that 5 times 12 would be 60. When we're dividing, we're trying to get as close to 40 without going over. How close can we get to 40 without going over? 36 is as close as we can get to 30 without going over. So I need to subtract from 36. But up top, I have to write, how many times did 12 go into 36? 3 times. 3 times 12 is 36. We subtract. What's 40 minus 36? 4. Carry it over. And now we've got 12 into 40. How many times does 12 go into 40? 36 again. What's happening? That 3 is just going to keep repeating over and over and over again. Every time I subtract, I'm going to keep getting 4. This 3 is going to repeat. So that means my decimal would be 0.3 repeating. You can draw it with a little line up top, or if you need to type it out, it would be 0.333 with some dots. Those dots tell you that it's repeating because we can't type that line above it. Whew, that's a review on division, isn't it? Try the next one on your own. Pause the video, try it on your own. What decimal of the shapes are stars? I was trying to be tricky with this, and I'm not going to lie. How many of our shapes are stars? We don't have any stars. 0 out of 12. What would 0 out of 12 be as a decimal? 0. Nothing too crazy there. Just trying to see if we can put that together. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, good luck on the next one.